Hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and today I'm going to share with you how to attach a crocheted piece to the inside of a finding. Let's go.
All right, so to do this technique, you're going to need a few things, which, if you were just playing around, can be a variety of things. But obviously, if you are using a pattern, you want to use the items that they've called for in your pattern. You're going to need your crocheted piece, you're going to need the hook that you're choosing to use, and you're going to need whatever finding you're going to use. This can be and all of these things can be a whole bunch of different things, from a giant macrame hoop to this one's a fairly small sized hoop to a little earring hoop to any size or shape that you want or need for your project. The first thing I want to encourage you to do before you start working around your finding is to line up your crocheted piece and you're finding, what you're doing is checking for approximate size here. The challenging thing about adding a hoop to a crocheted piece is that the sizing needs to be just right. If your crochet piece is too big, you're going to end up with it being wavy and popping up out of your hoop. And if it's too small, you're going to have to give it a lot of stretch or make bigger stitches to make it fit inside your hoop. I would say, generally speaking, within reason, having a piece that's a little too small is probably better than having a piece that's a little too big. So once you've determined, so I guess, let me back up. I should say, if you come to this point and you're like, nope, not gonna work, go ahead and start again with either a bigger or a smaller hook so that you get it the right size. I think you'll find that this is going to be an easier technique to accomplish if you're starting out with the right size. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your crocheted piece and thread it through your finding. You want this yarn to go through the center of, in this case, my hoop. Then I'm just going to take my stitch marker off and I'm going to place my hook back through my final loop. I haven't tied off my crocheted piece here at all. It's still a work in progress. The next thing I want to do is I want to attach my crocheted piece to my hoop in this instance. And I'm going to do that by reaching over the hoop, grabbing a loop, and just simply doing a slip stitch. And then if I tug that yarn nice and tight, you can see my crocheted piece is now attached to my hoop. Then I'm just going to start working my stitches as they are called for by the pattern, or if you're not using a pattern and you're just making something up on your own, I encourage you to just do whatever looks good. Perfection is not the goal here. Having a finished piece that looks nice is the goal. So even if you find instructions aren't working quite right for you, and adding a few more or using a few less stitches looks nicer, unless you're continuing on and you need a specific stitch count past the ring or the hoop or whatever finding you're working into, just make it look nice. That's what's most important. So once I've attached my crochet piece to my finding, I'm going to start working through the stitches, reaching under my finding, pulling up a loop above my finding, and completing my stitch. So whatever stitch is called for, I'm doing a single crochet. Whatever stitch is called for, you're going to reach through your fabric and your finding, pull up your loop, and then complete your stitch above the finding. Let's do that again. I have my next stitch right here. I'm going to go through my stitch, below or inside my hoop, pull up a loop and come above my hoop and complete my stitch. And you can just keep doing that all the way around until your piece is completely attached. Work through the stitch and the center of your finding, pull up a loop above, and complete your stitch. Now, you can also, depending on what your pattern calls for or what you're looking for visually, you may not want to attach your entire crocheted piece to your finding. You may want to work some stitches that don't attach to your finding. And if that's what you're going to do, you just simply need to work below the hoop the whole time. So let's say I'm going to work some slip stitches to get me, let's say 3 stitches. Nope. Let me start that again. I'm going to work some slip stitches here that I don't want attached to the hoop. So I've come below and I'm going to slip stitch, and see, now that slip stitch is not attached to the hoop. I'm going to come below my hoop again and slip stitch again. Oh, I've made that stitch pretty tight. And then one more, I'm going to slip stitch below the hoop. Because I've never come back above the hoop and connected with that yarn, those stitches are not connected to my hoop. And then to connect to my hoop again, I just need to reach below my hoop and then work above my hoop. And then you can see I have stitches that are attached, stitches that are not attached, and one more stitch that is attached. And I can keep going in that method, working 3 stitches that go through the center and above the top, and so that they are attached. And then I can work stitches, and you can even do a single crochet. Pull up your loop, reach through the center again, and complete your single crochet. So when all the work is done below the hoop, see that? Those are not attached. So one more single crochet below. See how I'm reaching back below the hoop to grab my loop? And that gives me 3 more single crochets that aren't attached. And then I can go back to having them attached again by reaching below and then completing my stitch above the hoop. Reaching below the hoop and then completing it above the hoop. I'll do one more. Below the hoop and above the hoop. And again, you can see now I have, whoop, sorry about that. You can see now I have 3 stitches that are attached to the hoop, 3 stitches that are not, 3 more that are attached, 3 more that are not, 3 more that are attached. I have my tail hanging out through the loop here. You're going to want to pull that to the back side and eventually weave that in when you're done. And then you just keep working your stitches however it's indicated by the pattern all the way around. And then let me show you what to do when you get back to the beginning. So you can see I've worked all of these stitches around the hoop. And so the hoop is completely enclosed in the crochet piece there. I'm back to my first stitch and I'm simply going to join with a slip stitch, just like you would any other crochet piece. Now you can maybe find that it's a little hard to work into that stitch, and that's totally normal. And if that were all there were to my pattern, I would just fasten that off and weave in my ends. If I need to work back into these stitches to continue working out from my finding, I would just follow the directions and use these stitches just like any other stitch.
And that is how you add a crocheted piece to the inside of a hoop or finding. I hope you had fun with this tutorial and found it helpful. Let your creativity run wild. There are all sorts of ways that you can use this technique to make really fun crocheted pieces. Check out the description for links to other videos that you might find helpful, as well as any patterns in which I've used this technique. I hope you absolutely love them. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, like this video, and share it with a friend who might also enjoy this technique. It is always my goal to help you grow confidently in your craft, and I hope that this video has helped to achieve that goal. Thank you again for joining me, and happy crafting!